I'm going live in 2 places. Let's see. I am live. Hello, how are we doing? Welcome to the Witchy Weather Report. T-Rex is joining us as well. Rawr! How are we feeling today? It's Saturday morning. Mercury is about to go into Gatorade. My goodness. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love it. Ondine popping right in with that meow right away. So if you're a newcomer, hey Siobhan, so good to see you. How are you? If you're a newcomer, you can know that the secret code we use, if you would like me to pull a card for you, is dropping a cat emoji in the chat. And if you can't get to the emoji keyboard for some reason, just saying meow will do. And we do that. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, that's weird. Let's see. You should be able to hear me. Hello. Huh. Okay, some people can hear. Some people can hear me. Try leaving and coming back. Let me know if y'all can see and hear me well. Because it looks like some folks can hear me. And, you know, sometimes that just happens. Okay. Mercury's coming into Gatorade. Hey, Grayson. Hey, Diggy. How you doing? All right. I'll be reading to you today from the Everyday Witch Tarot, which if you know me, you know is my kind of old, reliable comfort deck. It's not an old deck. It's a fairly new deck, but this is my like lovely, warm blanket, cozy deck. I see people, I see one person on the Instagram saying that she can't hear me. Try leaving and coming back or try going over to Facebook. And of course I'm talking and maybe you can't hear me. So I don't know if that's helpful. All right, let me get my banners up. Okay. Now we're for realsies. By the way, I want to let you know, if you follow my music self as well, you will be interested to know that I'm going to be making a small announcement at 12:15, right after the Witchy Weather Report. And you might want to tune in for that. It'll be on my Rory Kelly channels, on Rory Kelly YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and do it on Insta because I won't be playing music, so you should be able to hear everything on the Instas. I'm turning up my ring light so y'all can see me a little better. Usually I have some natural light coming in this time of day, but it is very, very gloomy today. Good morning. Hello, Ayla Faye. Oh my gosh, I got the California contingent in there, which is amazing because I know it's like 8 in the morning there. Like, gosh, better you than me. Okay, I'm going to, as always, share this broadcast a couple places on the Space Books. And while I'm doing so, I'm going to let you know that we have Mercury Retrograde. We have Mercury Retrograde starting today in like a couple hours. I think the website, I always go to the website ismercuryretrograde.com, which is a very helpful website and literally just tells you if Mercury is retrograde that day. And I believe it is starting at 3:34 p.m. Eastern time. So we got about 4 hours, but that means things are probably already going wonky. Case in point, Ondine can't hear me. And I'm going to make one more comment for her since she can't hear me. Okay. Ondine, if you're still here, try Facebook. Okay, I know you all get to watch me type. So fun and interesting. Okay, let me put that back. Boom. So how are we feeling today? What does Mercury retrograde mean? People freak out about Mercury retrograde. It's coming, and like people act like the world is going to end when Mercury retrograde happens, and they blame everything on it. Some things that aren't even necessarily Mercury-y. Let me tell you about Mercury. Mercury rules communication and transportation. Also me, because I'm a Virgo. Mercury, also technology. Technology is kind of a big piece of that. The internets, the phones, all of that stuff. So Mercury is kind of in charge of those things. When Mercury is in retrograde, it appears to be moving backwards, though of course it is not actually doing so in the sky from our perspective on Earth. You have to remember that astrology is very self-centered and we're looking up at Earth and it's all based around our view from Earth. So presumably if we ever have a colony that moves to Mars, astrology will be way super different. So Mercury retrograde means that Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the sky for a time. And that can bring us backwards. It can make us feel like things are not moving forward in the way they want to. It can make us feel like technical glitches and communications, like misunderstandings are happening. And basically, it can make us feel like it's one step forward, two steps back, right? And the positive side about Mercury retrograde is it is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time for shadow work. It's a wonderful time to review things you have already done. Anything that starts with the prefix RE, review, that's the only thing I can think of right now, but there's a lot of them. Rework, reconnoiter, reconsider. Mercury retrograde is a really good time for us to look at things in our lives, look at things that have happened in the past few months in our lives, because I think the last time Mercury was retrograde was March, I want to say. Maybe April. I don't know. Mercury's in Gatorade. So what's happened over that last little bit of time? Is there anything we may want to look back on and take a second thought about? Is there anything we may wish to review? May wish to rethink? So Mercury retrograde, although many people find it deeply annoying, is an opportunity for us to do better. It's an opportunity for us to look back and do better and fix things that maybe we got wrong or that we didn't get super right, or just whatever. Hey, I see people. Oh, good. Ondine, you're in Facebook. Great. Yeah, I don't know why Insta wasn't working for you, but it was working for some other folks. So I didn't want to restart the broadcast and lose people, but good. I'm glad. Okay, I have a couple comments. I have people saying, I have a lot of meows. I have Anna saying, yes, it means the world's going to end. And like a bratty little kid dragging his damn feet. No, I know, it's true. Review and restructure, says Ondine. Yes, absolutely. So that's the story on Mercury retrograde. We're going to be in Mercury retrograde for a little while. I haven't looked to see how long. I'm terrified. But it starts today, this afternoon. And so it's a great time, rather than pushing forward with new projects, for looking at things that you've already done and asking yourself how you can shore them up. Also, though, if you've already got a project going, if you are like me and released an album this year, it's okay to work on those things that you already have in the works. Mercury retrograde shouldn't mess you up with that too much. It's maybe not a good time to start something brand new, because this is a time when the universe is inviting you to look back. This is built into our experience. We can look at this as a benevolent thing. Capitalism urges us to move forward and push and push and push and new, right? And as someone who used to work in the tech field, that means that we don't get to ever fix things that don't go right? We're just like pushed to constantly release, pushed to constantly put new stuff out. And if something breaks, it's like, oh, well, there's no time to deal with that because the next release date looms. And this applies to everyone, not just tech. I just remember it vividly from my days in the tech industry. Right? There's just a feeling of like, we always have to be doing the next thing. We always have to be like focusing on whatever's coming up, because it's so much that we don't get a chance to ever look back and, cross our T's and dot our I's and ask ourselves if there's anything we can improve. Mercury retrograde is a built-in time for us to do those things, for us to take a breath, and instead of pushing ourselves to constantly be productive and be good little capitalists, to look back at what we've created and what we've started and what we've been experiencing and see what else can be gleaned from it. This is a blessed time. It is also stressful, I'm not going to lie. There will be technological mishaps, there will be weird travel things happening, but consider that the universe is trying to call your attention to something when that happens, and ask yourself if there is a lesson that you can learn from it. Okay. Judah says, not regurgitate. Yes, not a good time for regurgitating unless, you're a seagull mom feeding your baby seagull children, in which case regurgitate away. Have a great time. Um, and it says, I don't drink, but it also means refill. Yes. And I will say, cheers to that. This is coffee. It's the morning. Don't worry. Refill. A time to refill your cup. Okay, Andine says, I heard June 22nd. That's probably right. I haven't checked. So we're in Mercury retrograde for a few weeks. We'll get used to it. We always do. All right, I'm going to pull out my cards for you. Here's the deal. I will explain the Witchy Weather Report to anyone who has not been here before. Diggy Cat says, ooh, I need coffee. Yes, you do need coffee, Diggy Cat. I'm amazed that you do not have coffee right now because you are like a very caffeinated, see what I did there, individual. I'm going to pull out my tarot cards and get things started. If you have never been to the Witchy Weather Report before, here's how it works. I give a little Witchy Weather Report for all of us, and that's part of what all that chatter about Mercury retrograde was. At the beginning, I will also pull a card for the general energy of the week. Hey, Bex Tarot, thank you for tuning in. How you doing? After that, the Witchy Weather Report runs for an hour. I will pull cards for as many people as I can get to in that time. If you would like a card pulled for you, the secret code is to either drop a cat emoji in the chat or to drop the word meow in the chat. And the reason we use a secret code is because previously when people were just typing things like, hey, please pull a card for me, we were getting spammers. We don't want spammers. That's no fun. So now we use drop a cat in the chat. And also that's really fun because cats are great. We love cats. We're very catful here. Right? Right. All right. So I'm shuffling right now. If you just tuned in, you should know that we're about to go into Mercury Gatorade. Mercury is once again going to be in Gatorade as of, I believe, 3:34 p.m. Eastern Time, so a few hours from now. Don't stress. It's a good time for reviewing, revisiting, restructuring, rethinking, reevaluating, reconnoitering, all the things that start with re, except, as Judith pointed out, regurgitating. Unless you gotta. I mean, it's a blessing that we can do that if we really have to. Rats can't. They just die. My mom taught me that. Why am I telling you this? I don't know. So, Mercury is coming into retrograde. Good time for us to look back. Good time for us to reconsider. And reconsider doesn't always mean making a new decision, right? It might just mean learning what we can get out of this. And as a tarot person, sometimes the world will come up for someone in their Witchy Weather Report reading, and that the world usually signifies the end of a chapter. Important. It signifies the end of a chapter, not the beginning of a new one yet, right? It's the epilogue when everything is wrapping up in a neat little box. When the world comes up, I encourage people to look back over this chapter of their lives that they're finishing up and ask themselves how they can pull more value out of it. What have they learned from this time about themselves? What can they feel appreciative and grateful of? What can they learn not to do again? Those kind of questions, because that's how we can really create closure for ourselves. That's usually how it goes with closure. It's rare that the world hands you neat little closure, like an epilogue at the end of the book. We have to create it for ourselves. So, is there anything in your life that you need closure for? Because Mercury retrograde is a great time to do that. And I really encourage you to create closure for yourself around things that might be troubling you. Find ways to do that. Find ways to pull the lessons out for yourselves and honor them rather than like drunk texting an ex at 3 a.m. Probably not a great idea. Okay, I know I've got a couple more comments, and I'm about to pull our card for the week. Ooh, Ayla's about to savor her first sip of coffee. Diggy Cat says, Mercury retrograde during Mercury ruled Gemini season. Ooh, I know. We're both ruled by Mercury, but Geminis and Virgos are like so different. I feel like, I don't know. Y'all are like the Mercury extroverts and we're like the Mercury introverts. That's how I feel. And that's probably not a valid astrological take. So don't listen to me. That's just my personal take on it. Unverified. Judith is saying, I love this show, and it must be right after I said rats can't regurgitate, they just die, because someone else commented on that. Thank you for appreciating me. All right. I'm shuffling right now to pull our card for the week. Rehydrate. Always good advice, my friends. I'm double fisting. I got coffee and water over here on my monitor speaker. So, and I got this little plant pal over here dangling. I aspire. I can't wait for this plant to grow longer. So that I just have, I just want to be surrounded by vines on my live stream. Total Earth Witch. Anyway. All right, I've been doing a bunch of shuffling. I'm reading today from the Everyday Witch Tarot, created by Deborah Blake, illustrated by Elizabeth Alba, which I just love. I find it to be a really friendly tarot deck. You know how people have different kinds of decks? There's a deck that's like, here's the truth, jerk. This is what you got to know. And you're like, oh, God. And then there's a deck that takes you lovingly by the hand and is like, let's talk. And that's what the Everyday Witch Tarot is for me. It's the loving, take you by the hand deck. Let's talk about our energy for this coming week. This card is for everyone. After that, I will go see who has dropped a cat in the chat. The Hermit. Our energy for the week is the Hermit. My card. I'm a Virgo. This is a Virgo card. So, and Mercury's in retrograde. How interesting. Mercury rules Virgo. So, this is a good time for us to go inward. It's a good time for us to think and rely and turn to our own wisdom. I'm trying to turn this in a way that everyone can see it. My ring light's kind of washing it out, I think, for some of y'all. I'm trying to put this in a good position. The Hermit's a good time to bask in the inner glow of your own wisdom. Look at this beautiful flamey campfire that this person is just sitting very serenely in front of, and kind of a meditative pose. The Hermit reminds us that everything we need is right here. Oh, let me adjust this camera so you can see my many gestures, that everything we need is right here in our hearts, in our minds, in our spirits. Return to the home that is yourself. Return lovingly to your breath, to your heartbeat, to your inner wisdom. Find stillness this week that will help you navigate everything that you need to navigate. All the tools you need are within you. Not a time to go looking for advice for anyone other than yourself. However, you may find yourself giving advice to other people, and if so, listen hard, because often when we give advice to someone, it's exactly what we ourselves need to hear. We might have had that the week before last, Undine. I know we've had the Hermit a couple times recently. Hey, it's the time for it. It's the time to go inward. We have a lot to process. 2020 was a crazy mess. I don't know anyone who isn't still processing everything that happened in 2020. Now we get that chance to reprocess all the craziness that we experienced in the last, 12, 16 months, however long. All right, I know I'm going to be pulling some cards for some humans who are tuned in. So let me take a look and see. I know the first person to drop a cat in the chat was Ondine. Is there anyone else dropping cats? Let's see. I'm scrolling with it and trying desperately not to leave a comment on my own Instagram feed. Okay, we have a couple of cats in the chat. So we have, in order, Ondine, Judith, Anna. Anna, is it Anna or is it Anna? I don't know. I've been saying both, I realize. So tell me which one you prefer, because I like to call people by the names they want to be called. So that's who we've got first. Ondine, Judith, Anna, let me know. And then after that, I know we have some other people who've dropped cats. I just 3 people's all that's going to fit in my head right now. So don't worry, I will get to you. Ondine, pulling a cat for you. Not a cat, a card. Don't pull cats. Don't try this at home. It's not a nice thing to do to a cat. Unless you're pulling a cat back from walking into traffic or something. That is a good, wise thing to do. Don't let your cats walk into traffic. Wow. Hey, Emily, how you doing? I'm going to see you later. Okay, Ondine. Whoa, baby. Your card for this week is Death. What is the cord that you have been dying to cut in your life? Is it time? And or is there a cord that has been recently, what's the word? Like not fully severed, like it's frayed, it's hanging on by a thread. Maybe it's time to really say goodbye. You know, maybe it is time to say, all right, we've been trying, either trying to make this work or kind of stepping away from trying at all and just kind of letting it deteriorate. You know, sometimes instead of burning bridges, we just kind of walk away and let the bridge fall into disrepair. Maybe it's time to formalize an ending of some sort in your life. Perhaps this is something that only needs to be done internally, right? The Hermit is our card this week. Perhaps this means formalizing an ending for you, creating closure for yourself, asking yourself what it looks like to create an ending that feels like an ending in your heart so that you can move on. Maybe it means identifying some steps you can take to externalize an ending, to say, okay, this has been over for me for a while, but I know there are some things I may need to verbalize or boundaries I need to set or things that I need to say in order for this chapter of my life to be fully complete. And since Mercury is in retrograde, you know, take your time to think about this. Take your time, you know, to analyze and consider and reprocess all that you've been thinking about this topic, so that when you are ready, you know, if you're doing anything external, not internal, you can go and do that as your best self. And again, this is probably something that's already started. So remember, like a rule of thumb with Mercury retrograde is we don't start new things. We go back and we tidy up things that have already been put into motion. This says to me that there's probably an ending that you've been working on or not working on. You know what I mean? When we, again, don't burn the bridge, we just let it fall into disrepair. Maybe it's time to formalize that. Okay, I have some questions. Beth's Life. Hi, Beth's Life. Thank you for tuning in. Says, are you reading free or paid? Thank you for asking. These are donation-based readings. They are offered freely. I never expect anything in return on the Witchy Weather Report. I just read for as many people as I can fit in the hour. However, if you appreciate your reading, you are absolutely welcome to either order a paid reading from me at Etsy, etsy.com/shop/Sassafras Tarot, which is spelled just like it is on the little banner down there. Or throw me a tip in my virtual tip jar. I'm Venmo at Rory Kelly or paypal.me/Rory Kelly. And that's always appreciated, never expected. And if you'd like me to pull a card, anyone who just tuned in, drop a cat in the chat. Put a cat emoji in the chat or say the word meow. And the reason I do that is because when people have asked directly for readings in the past, we've gotten spammers that like search those terms and pop up in the chat. So we don't want spammers. Okay. Next up, I'm pulling a card for Judith. Then Anna is on deck. And then after that, I will be checking because I know a few people have dropped cats. I'm just going to get as many cards as I can in before noon. Witchy Weather Report has expanded. I'm so grateful. Enough people are tuning in regularly now that sometimes I can't get to everyone in the hour. If that's the case, you know, show up next time and feel free to let me know if I didn't get to you because I'll put you first, you know. But I'm planning on getting to everyone if I possibly can today. We still got 33 minutes. Famous last words, especially during Mercury Gatorade, am I right? I'm shuffling for you now, Judith. Anna, as if the name had two N's. Okay, cool. Thank you. Judith, here is your card, the Knight of Cups. This is a good week for you to wear your heart on your sleeve. And especially if there are things that have been getting to you, we have Mercury in retrograde, we have the Hermit. This is about your internal journey. If there are things that have been getting to you emotionally and you've been responding either by feeling, you know, just feeling grumpy or feeling out of sorts or feeling like, I don't want to think about that right now. You know, I'm pushing that away because maybe I can't deal with it. Maybe now is the time to create the space for yourself to be vulnerable and sensitive. Create that safe space so that you can truly get in touch with your emotions, as the Knight of Cups is so in touch with his emotions. The Knight of Cups wears his heart on his sleeve, you know? Maybe it's time to give yourself room to wear your heart on your sleeve if you have something to grieve, if you have big feels to feel. Create a space so that you can do so safely. The Knight of Cups kind of throws his emotions all over the place. That's his nature. We have the Hermit as our card for the week. We can be more wise about this. We can give ourselves the emotional support that we need so that we have room to experience and process our emotions instead of letting them get stagnant. Okay. Judith, that was your card. Anna, you are next. After that, I will be looking through to see who else I'm reading for. If you have dropped a cat in the chat, don't worry. I fully intend to read for you. I'm reading today from the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake, illustrated by Elizabeth Alba. And if you just tuned in, Mercury is about to go into Gatorade at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time today, staying until, we think, June 22nd. That's what Ondine said. Ondine usually has her finger on the pulse of astrology a little more than I do. So she is who I get a lot of my astrological info from. So Mercury Retrograde, good time for looking back, rethinking, reconsidering. Reinvesting. If there's something that we started and never put time in, maybe we reinvest our energy. What an idea. Anna, here is your card, the Hierophant. What does this mean to you? The Hierophant often comes up as, in many decks, it comes up as like the status quo, and often I read it as religion versus spirituality. In this deck, we see the Hierophant as a yoga instructor or meditation instructor, something along those lines. Mentorship. We see someone who has studied and applied themselves on a path, offering themselves by teaching and sharing that path with others. This is a structured type of journey. This is not self-study. It's the type of journey that you apply yourself to and follow the rules for what they can teach you. And Anna, I suggest to you, as the Hermit also came up, that perhaps you are being asked to step into this role of mentorship. Perhaps you are being asked to take your own studies and take your own learning and wisdom and experiences and be someone who passes on that wisdom in some type of a more structured way so that others can have the benefit of your wisdom within your community. The Hierophant's a big community card. It has to do with social structures. And often it comes up in a way that makes us feel disempowered, right? Like the status quo. How can I affect the status quo? Give yourself a chance to consider that we all make up the status quo together, right? We are all part of it. We're part of this consensual reality, and you have the power to make an impact on it, to create it, to co-create it, I should say. So I'm just going to give that to you as something to think about over the next week or so. Consider what that means to you. Okay, friends. I'm going to take a look through and see who else needs a card. I know Bex Tarot wants a card, and I know Emily wants a card. You're welcome, Anna. Let's see, who else has dropped a cat in the chat? If you haven't dropped a cat yet and you want a card, now's the time. Okay, Ayla's getting a card. Okay, that's 3 people. That's enough people for my brain. Bex Tarot is getting a card. Emily's getting a card. Ayla's getting a card. Hydration checkpoint. Make sure you stay hydrated out there, kids. Ruby says, drop one before. Don't worry, I'll get to you. I've got a lot of people dropping cats, so I'm just taking them in the order they were received. Siobhan, I think, just dropped a cat in the chat as well. Or something. I don't know. I just see a blankness from her. Maybe that's a cat. I'll pull a card for you, Siobhan. Tell me if you don't want me to. But I'm going to add you on to the end of the list because I got a few people on deck. All right, Bex Tarot, I am pulling a card for you at this time. Hello, by the way, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I know a couple of people just joined, just popped in. So I just wanted to say hello. That is a cat. Okay, good. Okay, Bex Tarot, your card is the 10 of Pentacles. We have familial joy and legacy. My husband is creeping into the room to do something mysterious and distracting me. Hi. No, I'm still drinking my coffee. He's being very helpful. He's taking my breakfast dishes, which I did not put away. Okay, let me get back to you, Bex. 10 of Pentacles. What legacy are you leaving on the world, and or what legacy are you following in the footsteps of from others? This can look like actual family. This can look like chosen family. This can look like callings, to join a path, to join the legacy of, for example, an artistic calling or a spiritual path, right? Like I am part of a legacy of female musicians. I literally am, because my mom was a female musician and my grandma was an opera singer. But even if I didn't have relatives, that would still be a legacy that I was following, right? What does legacy mean to you? What is the mark you wish to leave on the world? Overall, Mercury's in retrograde right now, and our main overall card was the Hermit. So you're being asked to think about legacy, to think about what it will feel like for you to leave a lasting impact on this planet. You're being invited to consider that so that you can move forward powerfully in creating that legacy. Emily, pulling a card for you. After that, Ayla. And don't worry, if you drop the cat, I'll get to you. Emily, your card, too, is Death. I will ask you the same question because I feel like this is what death means in the context of Mercury retrograde. Are there cords you've been meaning to cut, or perhaps you even have cut and they keep coming back? Like how you pull up poison ivy in your yard, and if you don't get to the roots, you just get poison ivy again. Next week, it just comes right back, right? Are there things in your life where you've been trying to set boundaries? You've been trying to either create active endings and closure, or just trying to create a boundary around yourself. Like, I won't be spoke to this way. I won't, be treated this way, those kind of boundaries. And perhaps now it's time to reinforce those boundaries. Another reword, Mercury retrograde, that suggests this is something you've already started, and now it's time to finish. Now it's time to show up for yourself by backing up your word with your own strength, right? If you've said, this isn't working out, we need to change the way we're doing things, or this isn't working out, we can't speak anymore, or this isn't working out because of how you're treating me, now's the time to follow through on that, right? Now's the time to say, and I'm not just going to let it sit and pretend nothing ever happened. I'm going to follow through on creating that closure for myself and in my life, and acknowledging like, hey, I said this and I meant it. I'm going to back it up with my strength. I know, that's a big one. I know these doozy cards this week. Mercury's in retrograde. We just had a crazy year. Mercury in retrograde encourage us to look back at the past. Not just the fact that our year has been crazy on a global level, right, which it has, but on a personal level, most people I know had some major upheaval in the last year because kind of you can't help it, when all of this is going on. And this Mercury retrograde is an opportunity because we now have enough distance and hopefully have gotten ourselves into a slightly more stable place that we can revisit some of that stuff and sort out what we're learning from it. Emily says, inserts Bob's Burgers gifts. I know exactly what gift you're inserting. All right, Ayla, I'm pulling a card for you. Then I'm going to look back up and see who else needs a card. If you just tuned in recently, I do this every week, every Saturday at 11 a.m. I offer these readings freely. You are welcome, however, to throw some love in my virtual tip jar, which is Venmo at Rory Kelly, RorieKelly, or paypal.me/Rory Kelly. You are also welcome to order an actual reading from me, like a full reading from my Etsy shop. And if you do, make sure you put in the code Witchy Weather Report for 10% off. If you're tuned in on Instagram, by the way, that Etsy link is in my bio, so you should be able to get there. All right, Ayla, this card, my dear, is for you. Queen of Cups, Cup Queen. Let's talk about this. We have the Hermit. We are looking inward right now. You are being asked to own your emotions and to rule cheerfully and lovingly alongside them. This is not a time to put aside your emotions for the greater good, nor is it a time to become so emotional that you can't see the path in front of you for like the tears in your eyes or whatever. This is a time for you to own your emotions and acknowledge them and thank them for being sacred messengers. Something that I'm always going on about lately, how our difficult emotions are actually holy messengers. It's a time for you to respect your emotions and in so doing respect yourself, right? We fail to show up for ourselves when we push our emotions down. When we say this is an inconvenient emotion or an unattractive emotion or a useless emotion, what we're doing is betraying ourselves. We are saying, my feelings don't matter. Your feelings friggin' matter. You are being encouraged to own and celebrate your feelings, even the challenging ones, this week. And the Hermit suggests that the best way you can do that is by showing up for yourself. Find some stillness, find some time to be kind to yourself this week, and ask yourself what emotions you need to revisit and reprocess. All right, let's see who else has dropped a cat. I'm scrolling through these comments. I'm scrolling through the comments. Why do you watch this? I'm so sorry. Okay, I've got a cat from Diggy Cat. So let's see. Diggy Cat's up next. Then I see cats from Beth's Life. And let's see who's next after that. And then Ruby. Okay. Diggy Cat, Beth's Life, Ruby, followed by Siobhan. That's who is getting cards pulled right now. Hey, Pete. Thanks for tuning in. How you doing? All right. That's 4 people. I don't know if it will fit in my brain. I'm going to be real honest. I might have to scroll up again. Diggy Cat, Beth's Life, Ruby, Siobhan. Diggy Cat, Beth's Life, Ruby, Siobhan. Maybe one of y'all can remind me when I inevitably forget. If you just tuned in, I'm going to drink a little bit of my coffee right now to help me with my brain. This is my first cup, so Roarbot is not fully activated yet. Still in the boot up process. If you just tuned in, this is the Witchy Weather Report. I do this every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So please like, follow, subscribe, sign up for notifications, ring that notification bell, whatever buttons there are to push where you're watching, because I do this on multiple channels. Push those buttons, because I would love to get to read for you again. Also, I'm going to take this moment to let you know, if you are a patron, we are recording our next episode of Sassafras Cast tomorrow. And I say we because I now record these episodes of my podcast as a live stream. And I allow patrons to tune in. It's a private, unlisted YouTube link, which is already posted on the Patreon for tomorrow. Look how organized I am. I wanted to get it done before Mercury went Gatorade. See that, Mercury? Don't challenge Mercury. It's terrifying. So if you're a patron, you get to be a part of the live stream. You get to tune in, ask questions, share your thoughts and opinions while I am physically recording the podcast so that your own thoughts and ideas can be included in the podcast. It's a live stream similar to this. It's just a private, unlisted YouTube link for patrons only. If you would like to be a patron and get access to things like that, as well as bonus episodes, personalized card pulls each episode, nifty stuff like that, you can do so at patreon.com/Sassafras Tarot. Diggy Cat, I am pulling a card for you now. Anna says, don't challenge Mercury or autocorrect will kick your butt. Real talk. I challenged Mercury one time and I just got myself all ducked up. Diggy Cat, Wheel of Fortune. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about luck and happenstance, because these are the forces that will be affecting you this week. In the context of the Hermit as our weekly card, this is really interesting. It suggests that rather than you yourself pushing to take actions and make things happen, you should be keeping your little kitty cat ears pricked up and keeping an eye, sticking a finger up to feel the direction that the wind is going and work in harmony, because the universe has some things in store for you. Usually, Wheel of Fortune means positive things, unexpected changes, unexpected happenings that change the game for you, meaning that your old plans might no longer be relevant, and that this might even be a good thing because you might get an opportunity that you hadn't considered you might get, that kind of thing. So keep your ears pricked this week. Work with the energies of the universe rather than trying to make your own plan. If you tuned in recently, if you'd like me to pull a card for you, the secret code that we use on the Witchy Weather Report is dropping a cat emoji into the comments. And the reason we do that is so we don't get spammers, or just say the word meow and I will pull a card for you. Next up, Beth's life. You didn't think I was going to remember, did you? I'm like, oh, all 4 names. I know Beth's life is next. Beth's life, then Ruby, then Siobhan. Pulling a card for you at this time, Beth's life. Which I'm assuming your name is Beth. I can stop calling you Beth's life, right? I can just call you Beth. Here you go, Beth. This is your card, 10 of Cups. Let's talk about joy and fulfillment, because that's what's on the way for you this week. The fact that Mercury is in retrograde and the fact that you're looking within this week, we all are, because the Hermit is our card for the week, tells me that you should be looking at your own understanding of joy and fulfillment. What brings you joy and happiness? Look at your life just as it is, not what will bring you happiness. When this happens, I'll be happy. What's joyful in your life right now? What's meaningful to you in your life right now? And are you enjoying it? Are you giving yourself the opportunity to experience that pleasure, to experience the people that you love, the things that you love? This is a sensual card as well as an emotional card. Are you giving yourself the opportunity to fully sink into and enjoy the experiences in your life that you put there on purpose because you love them? This is a card that encourages you to get grateful and to enjoy what you have. And the Hermit indicates that there are new ways you can do this if you take a minute to listen to your inner wisdom on that. Ruby, pulling a card for you and then for you, Siobhan. By the way, if you ever are like tuned in for a minute and then have to leave, if you drop a cat, I'll pull a card for you even if you're gone. So you can always tune into the replay. This does get rebroadcast. It gets saved so you can watch it again. I was trying to find the right word, but I couldn't. Thanks, Mercury. By the way, if you love tuning in for the Witchy Weather Report, I would deeply appreciate it if you would share the broadcast. Share it on your timeline. Share it with a group of people you think might enjoy it. Share it with your best friend and let them know that Rory the Witchy Lady will pull a card for them. Archived. Thank you, Diggy Cat. That is the word. Ruby, here is your card. Ace of Wands, my darling. Let's talk. I was just thinking, wow, I did a reading for Ruby that was like indicated she could really like step into some power. I'm wondering what's going on for her. And then up comes the Ace of Wands. Let's talk about you and the life you're creating for yourself, because the power is in your hand. What I love about this particular particular card in this particular deck is that there are all these beautiful things, obviously like dreamed of, exciting things that this person has thought about creating in their lives coming out of the fire. And this wand is like literally floating to her. Sorry, I'm trying to show this on both screens at once. There's this wand in the fire that is literally like floating its way up to her. I'm trying so hard to make this card very visible. Okay, if you're on Facebook now, you can see it a little better, I think. And the moral of the story is the jewel is in your pocket the whole time, right? You have the power. The power is in your hands to create what you want. All you have to do is keep moving forward in faithful action. And when I say faithful action, what I mean is that take actions as if you won't fail. Take actions knowing that they will pan out, that you will get either the results that you crave or the lesson that you need to learn how to do it. Keep taking action. Trust in yourself. Feel free to even be a little impulsive, because that's going to lead you down the path that you need to be led down. Your own wisdom, your own power. The universe is like pointing everything right back into you. Siobhan Hannah says, I'm so tarot envious. I know what you mean. I have like a long list of decks I want. Or maybe you mean you're jealous of that card, because Ace of Wands, that's a lovely card to get. Siobhan, I'm pulling a card for you. Y'all, if you haven't, if you don't already know her, follow Siobhan McCrudden, and that's spelled, that's one of those Irish names that's very hard to spell, SIOBHAN _ McCrudden, MCCRUDDEN. Follow her on Instagram and on the Facebooks or wherever, or on Spotify, because she's a super, super talented musician. I can't get enough of her music. She's got an album out. It's really, really beautiful, and you'll love it. Okay, pulling a card for you, my dear. Here is your card, Queen of Cups, my dear. This is a time to tune into yourself and your own wisdom and the wisdom of your emotions. Does that sound like an oxymoron? Well, there's your problem, because it's not an oxymoron. It's time to listen to the wisdom of your own emotions. Creativity is a piece of cups too, by the way. I say this because I know we're both creative people. What calling, what pull are you feeling internally right now? Whether it's a call to create, a call to use your voice in a certain way, a call to just friggin' feel something that perhaps you've been putting on the back burner because it's an inconvenient time to have this emotion right now. You can learn the most and get the most progress in your life this week by leaning into your emotions, by honoring them, by treating them as honored guests and sitting down to tea with them and showing them how much you care and listening to what they have to say. It doesn't mean you have to be a slave to them, right? It doesn't mean that you're like running around doing whatever your emotions ask of you, right? You're not like, oh, I'm angry, so I'm going to burn the house down. Please don't burn your house down. But it does mean acknowledging and celebrating your emotions, finding a way to celebrate those emotions, giving voice to them in your life, and you will find that things start to shift in a really positive way for you. That is your card for the week. All right, my loves. I have actually gotten through these readings before our usual quit time. Here's what I want to let you know. I'll reiterate. I'll do those words because we got Mercury coming into retrograde. I'll reiterate our message for the week, and I'll let y'all know that if you follow me as a music person, and if you don't, please do, because I'm a musician, I'm going to make a little announcement at 12:15 Eastern Time, so about 25 minutes from now, on my music channels, Rory Kelly, RORIEKELLY, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. I'm going to be making a little announcement, and I hope you will tune in for that, because it would make me very, very happy. And it'll be quick. It won't take a lot of time out of your day. Also, to get back to Sassafras Tarot stuff, this has been the Witchy Weather Report. Our card of the week for everyone was the Hermit. That means this is an important week for turning into your own wisdom, creating stillness, and showing up for yourself as deeply and regularly as you can, because that is where the growth is to be had, my friends. Also, Mercury is going into Gatorade, and it's going to be in Gatorade for a few weeks. So it's a good time for revisiting, reconnoitering, rethinking, reconsidering all of those words. Look backwards rather than forwards, and do so with joy, right? After you complete a project, what would it be like, instead of jumping into the next thing, to look back and be like, what did I learn from this? And are there any loose ends I can tidy up? And right, because as soon as you look back, you're like, oh, I forgot to call that person actually, or whatever. You realize there are little things you forgot. Is there any loose end I can tidy up? Is there anything I learned from this that I can apply in the future? Good lessons, bad lessons. Did I learn about my own strength? Should I reevaluate my perception of myself, perhaps in a positive way, right? It's not all negative. These are our questions to consider as we go through Mercury retrograde. It's a time to move through things a little more slowly and a little more thoughtfully. And in some ways, isn't that a blessing? We are pushed to move through things so quickly in this world. Let's all make a commitment to just go slow and steady for the next few weeks and see how that feels to us. Okay, if you love the Witchy Weather Report, don't worry, I do this every week. Tune back in at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific Time. Oh God, that's real early. And 4 p.m. British Summer Time for all Europeans who are on like the summer edition of GMT. And other times in other places. I do this every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, where you're watching right now. So hit that follow button or subscribe button or notification. Just hit all the buttons. Press buttons. Dangerous things to tell people to do during Mercury retrograde. And finally, if you're a patron, I will be doing episode 8 of Sassafras Cast tomorrow. Sassafras Cast is my podcast. It comes out once a month or so, and it is about witchy wisdom for living your best life. I will be talking about how to get into a spiritual practice or get back into one if you have kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit and want to get back into it. That's going to be tomorrow for patrons at noon my time. So 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. if you are in the UK. And other times in other places, as always. So if you're a patron, you already have the private YouTube link. It's on the Patreon page. I'll be also posting it in Discord a little later. If you're like, patron, how do I become a patron? Well, I'll tell you. You can join at patreon.com/Sassafras Tarot and get access to tuning in for the live streams as they occur, rather than having to wait a few days for the podcast to come out. And there's also other benefits too. At certain levels, you get a discount on readings. At certain levels, you get a card pulled for you every month. You get bonus episodes, that kind of thing. So take a look-see if you're interested. Anyway, I've yammered at you long enough. Go forth and have a wonderful week. Farewell, my loves.